Welcome to Fireside News, the only show where Yoda, sperm races, and snake-infused margaritas somehow make sense. Barely. George Lucas just admitted why Yoda talks like he's solving a crossword mid-sentence, and it's weirder than you think. Meanwhile, LA hosted the world's first ever sperm race, and yeah, it's a real thing. With live betting, a halftime show, and enough CGI to make you question reality. But hang on, because just when you think this episode's peaked, a woman in Virginia found something slithering in her drink, and what happens next is straight out of a horror movie. And trust me, the ending? Let's just say you'll wish it was fiction. Stick around because Fireside News is just getting warmed up. Have you ever wondered why Yoda speaks backwards in Star Wars? Well, George Lucas finally gave us an answer during a 45th anniversary screening of The Empire Strikes Back. He said, quote, "Because if you speak regular English, people won't listen that much. But if he has an accent, or he's really hard to understand what he's saying, they focus on what he's saying." He's basically the philosopher of the movie. I had to figure out a way to get people to actually listen, especially 12-year-olds. Now that I think of it, it makes a lot of sense. I talk a lot to my son like Yoda. You know? Angry am I. Destroy you I will. A lot of people thought this was a joke and we heard about it a few weeks ago, and some are still wondering if it is. The world's first sperm race happened in Los Angeles this past week with a student from USC going up against a guy from UCLA. They did 3 heats. They were tied at 2. USC won the rubber match, whatever that is. The whole thing was live streamed on YouTube. You can even place bets on polymarket.com. People wagered a combined $329,000 on this. And the footage they showed left some people thinking the whole thing was staged. You know, it showed each guy's little swimmers racing across a 2mm wide track. But it kind of seemed like CGI. Plus, they don't usually swim in one direction. You know, they're usually all willy-nilly, right? The organizers claim the results are fully legit, but even they seem to suggest that the footage might not be the real deal. After the race, they said comparisons between 3D and raw footage would be published to verify the results. Last we checked, they still hadn't published the comparisons. If it was real, some people found it pretty entertaining, but if it was fake race based on, you know, stats or something, it's not nearly as fun, right? One report said the footage was transferred to a 3D animation software before it was shown. The guys behind spermracing.com claim they're trying to make it a real sport and turn fertility into competition. And they really went for it. The event included press conferences, an undercard, and a halftime show with rapper Ty Dolla $ign. Oh, they also just added a page to their website teasing a new product called Sperm Racing Tryouts. It says you'll be able to buy a kit to test your swimmers and see where they rank on an amateur leaderboard. Well, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame class of 2025 was announced recently, and there are 13 inductees this year. In the performers category, you got Bad Company, followed by Chubby Checker, Joe Crocker, Cyndi Lauper, Outkast in the Rock Hall of Fame, Soundgarden making it in this year, and the White Stripes. Salt-N-Pepa are going to be inducted into the musical influence category. 3 more are being recognized in the musical excellence category. R&B songwriter and producer Tom Bell, pianist and organist Nicky Hopkins, and bassist Carol Kay. As for the snubs, Fish won the fan vote last week at 330,000 votes. Bad Company came in second place, and Billy Idol followed in third. Despite the love from the fans, Fish and Billy Idol didn't get in. So for Billy, I guess it's more of a red wedding, huh? Sorry. The fan vote doesn't have a ton of influence on who makes the hall. It only counts for a single ballot among roughly, 1,200 that are cast. This is just the second time that the winner of the fan vote didn't make it in. Previously, it was Dave Matthews Band in 2020, but they finally got in last year. The induction ceremony is going to take place November 8th in LA. It'll stream on Disney+. It'll be available to stream on Hulu the next day, and you get a special broadcast on ABC at a later date. Imagine mistaking this for a straw. A woman in Virginia says she's traumatized after she went to take a sip of a margarita at a Mexican restaurant and she found a live snake on it. Yeah, Carletta Andrews is at a place near Richmond called Patron Catina, and her husband just finished eating at the bar and she felt something hit her forehead and asked, "Hey, what was that?" You know, she looked down at her drink and freaked out because she saw it was just a baby snake, you know, in her glass. She snapped a photo of it, wrapping itself around the straw. Gives me goosebumps thinking about it. Employee tried to remove the snake with a stick, which cracked me up, but another customer just grabbed it and took it outside. No word on what type of snake it was. But Carletta said employee offered to move her to a booth, and she decided, you know what, I'm just going to get up and get the hell out of here. They did at least comp her meal, though. The owner of the restaurant said the snake must have gotten in through the air conditioner. It apparently fell from the ceiling, bounced off of her head, and then landed in her margarita. Carletta thinks the place might have a snake infestation, so she's not going back. But a reporter asked what they're doing to make sure it doesn't happen again, and they said, nothing. They think it was just, a random fluke. But a snake landed in a woman's margarita at a restaurant in Virginia. The Washington Nationals held a Pups in the Park night last Friday, and whoever's genius idea this was, there also post-game fireworks. I mean, these are two promotions that are usually on different nights for obvious reasons. Someone shared a photo of the Jumbotron with a warning that fireworks would start in 20 minutes after the last out, saying, quote, "If you or your four-legged friend are not a fan of loud noises, we advise you exit Nationals Park immediately following the game's conclusion." There's a whole Reddit thread about how not so well this all turned out. One person said 20 minutes wasn't long enough to get far enough from the stadium, so her dog freaked out. Another person saw a terrified dog slip its harness, run into traffic, and almost get hit by a car. Not the smartest idea, having fireworks on Pups in the Park night. Well, this past Saturday night, Steven Spielberg and George Lucas presented Francis Ford Coppola with the Lifetime Achievement Award from the American Film Institute. During his tribute, Spielberg named what he believes the greatest American film of all time. Obviously, it was one of Coppola's, right? It's The Godfather. May your first child be a masculine child. He said, quote, "Many artists can take a bow from their work on a page, on canvas, on screen, but our applause is for you, Francis. It's from a different kind of audience. When we're young, it's our parents we want to make proud. And then it's our friends, and then it's our colleagues, and finally, it's our peers. But you, sir, are peerless." He added, quote, "You've inspired a generation of storytellers who want to make you proud of their work, proud of our work, and always want to make you proud of my work." So Steven Spielberg naming the best American movie of all time, The Godfather. Jelly Roll is on a weight loss mission, and he explained his whole thought process recently on Jimmy Kimmel Live. Jimmy asked him how much weight he'd lost already, and Jelly said he's, quote, "approaching the 200-pound mark. I'd guess that I've lost an entire Jimmy Kimmel," is what he said. But what's the secret, you might ask? Well, Jelly said, "I've been thinking about ways to make it sound cool, but I can't." He says, "I'm eating a lot of protein and vegetables and walking. That's what I'm doing." And when Jimmy asked him, when do you stop? Do you have a number in mind? Jelly said, "I do have a number in mind. To do all the fun stuff in life, you have to be under 250 pounds. I want to skydive. I want to ride a roller coaster. I want to ride a bull. I want to wrestle an alligator. I want to do a lot of other things. I got a list of things I want to do." It's been so inspiring watching Jelly on his journey. And once he reaches the 250-pound mark, be prepared for the best content ever. You think Jelly's funny now? Wait till there's video of him skydiving. Well, for some people, it feels like nails on a chalkboard when someone says something wrong. It might be more irritating to find out that they're saying it wrong intentionally. Someone asked the internet, what is your best "I say it wrong on purpose" example? And here are the most popular responses. Someone said they call it the Google, not Google, it's the Google, mostly just to annoy their kids. Another person said they like to say, "I'll give it a goog" before searching on Google. Strategery is another one inspired by an old SNL bit. Merlot with the T. You don't say Merlot, you say Merlot. Especially when wine tasting, it really annoys people. Ooh, this one always gets under my skin. Deers. If someone says deers, I usually cringe a little bit. It's deer, plural, right? Plural, deer. It's not rocket surgery. That's always a fun one. It's like a Ricky-ism from Trailer Park Boys. Or how about it's all water under the fridge? That's definitely a Ricky-ism, It's not rocket appliance or something like that. But what's your best example of "I say it wrong on purpose"? Sound off in the comments. All right, imagine this, all right? You're cruising on a multi-billion-dollar aircraft carrier with the U.S. Navy. You got fighter jets lined up like toys on a shelf, and then one just kind of rolls off the side, like a kid bumped a table or like your cat was knocking something off the coffee table. Well, last week, the Navy admitted they lost a $60 million Super Hornet. Not in combat, not in a crash, just slid off the deck and sank into the Red Sea. Gone forever. Why? Because the ship made a hard turn to avoid enemy fire in Yemen. Yeah, 1 second the jet's there, the next it's Davy Jones' locker, doing the backstroke with her tax dollars. Now look, I've lost sunglasses on a fishing boat. I even dropped the phone off the dock, but a fighter jet, you think that kind of thing has at least a kickstand or a wheel chock or something? Maybe a bungee cord from Harbor Freight? The best part, the Navy says they're investigating, which I assume means someone's currently Googling how to file a really awkward insurance claim, right? The only injury reported was one sailor who probably pulled a muscle doing did that just really happen kind of thing. If anyone's snorkeling off the coast of Yemen and stumbles across the plane, let them know Uncle Sam would love to have it back. I got another nominee for our Dumb Dumb of the Day, and it goes to a guy in Ohio who got busted for dealing meth while wearing a shirt that said retired drug dealer. Yeah, you can't make this stuff up. He was driving an Uber, which is already weird. He allegedly told the passenger, hey, you want to see something cool? And then bragged about having drugs in the car in one of those little aerosol cans, kind of like they had on Jurassic Park, The passengers called the cop, and then they pulled him over, and they found 24 grams of meth, some pills, a pipe, a scale, baggies, cash, and 3 phones, all stashed inside that fake aerosol can. This dude had the full kit. He was like he was running a meth starter pack on Etsy. I've seen dumb criminals before, but if you're running product and advertising your old career on your chest like your LinkedIn bio, that's a new level of bold right there. You're not retired, man. You're just between charges, all right? Moral of the story, if you want to stay under the radar, maybe leave that novelty shirt at home because when you get popped wearing it, the mugshot basically captions itself. All right, so here's a fun stat/gut check. Americans eat about 20% more calories than the Swedes do every week, which is the equivalent to 2 whole cheesecakes. Every week! I didn't even know I was carrying cheesecake weight, but now I feel like I'm dragging around a dessert ghost haunting my pancreas. Meanwhile, the Swedes are out there sipping water from melted snow and jogging through pine forests with their perfect posture. We've got air fryers, and they have discipline. I'm not saying we're unhealthy, but if your Apple Watch thinks your resting heart rate is after Thanksgiving dinner, you might be carrying some phantom cheesecake too. Honestly, it tracks though. We treat cheese as a food group. Swedes snack on pickled fish. We snack on flamin' hot whatever. And I don't lie, if you ever gone to Costco for a few things and left with a family-sized cheesecake that you swore was, for the kids, then this stat's for you, okay? But hey, it's not all bad. Maybe those 2 extra cheesecakes are the price of freedom. Either way, let the Swedes keep their restraint, and I'll be over here living deliciously. Well, if you made it this far, you're either entertained, confused, or binge snacking on cheese. Hey, no judgment, but if you love news that makes you laugh, think, and occasionally lose faith in humanity, I want you to hit the subscribe button. We drop new episodes of Fireside News every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. Same sass, new absurdities, the good stuff. Be here next week. Your brain might not thank you, but your soul will.